The stars above flickered like distant fires, casting pale light on the metal hull of the abandoned ship. Inside, silence filled the corridors, broken only by the hum of the ship's core. No one expected anything to survive here. Least of all, a human. Captain Aaron moved cautiously, his boots echoing against the cold floor. He had come alone, as always, because no one else dared to follow him this far into enemy territory. The alien race, known only as the KYRR, had claimed this sector long ago. Their technology was beyond human comprehension, their power unmatched. And yet, here he was, scanning the dark corridors for signs of life, or danger. He paused near a shattered wall panel, fingers brushing the jagged metal. The air smelled of burnt circuits and old metal. Then he heard it, a soft, mechanical hiss, like something waking from a long sleep. Aaron froze. His pulse quickened. He had been in fights before, but nothing like this. The KYRR were hunters, precise and merciless. A wrong move could mean instant death. Suddenly, the floor beneath him shook. Dust fell from the ceiling. Aaron ducked instinctively, his hand gripping the side of the wall. The ship's AI, long deactivated, flickered to life for a moment, a holographic interface lighting up with a weak blue glow. Warning: unauthorized presence detected. It whispered. The voice was almost human, but faintly distorted, like it was trying to remember itself. Aaron ignored it. He had a mission. The KYRR had attacked human colonies for years, spreading fear and chaos across the outer systems. No one thought a single human could stand against them. But Aaron had learned differently. He had learned to survive. He had learned to fight in ways the KYRR could not imagine. He moved forward, each step careful but confident. The shadows seemed to twist around him, hiding shapes that might not even exist, or might be watching him. And then, he saw them. Tall, slender figures with shimmering exoskeletons and eyes that glowed faint green. The KYRR. They didn't move like humans. They moved like water, fluid and unpredictable. Aaron crouched behind a metal crate, watching. The aliens were speaking in a language he couldn't understand, their voices low and clicking. He counted them. 6 of them, more than enough to overwhelm him. But he noticed something strange. One of the KYRR was limping slightly, favoring a side. Weakness. A human weakness might be obvious, but to the KYRR, it was subtle. A detail most humans would overlook. He smiled, a small, grim smile. This was his chance. The KYR thought a human couldn't fight back. They thought wrong. From his pack, Aaron pulled a small device, a portable disruptor. Its blue light hummed softly, almost invisible in the dim corridors. He set it carefully on the floor, aimed at the nearest KYRR, and activated it. The effect was immediate. The alien convulsed, its exoskeleton sparking, then collapsed in a heap. The others froze, confused and disoriented. Aaron didn't wait. He leaped from his hiding place, firing his plasma pistol. The shots were precise, calculated. 2 more KYR fell before they even had a chance to retaliate. Adrenaline coursed through his veins, but he stayed focused, each movement deliberate. He wasn't just fighting for survival, he was sending a message. Humans could fight back. Humans could win. Suddenly, the ground shook again, harder this time. The lights flickered, and the remaining KYRR hissed in alarm. From the shadows, something huge emerged, a massive KYRR guardian, far taller and stronger than the others. Its exoskeleton glinted like dark metal, and its eyes burned with intelligence and rage. Aaron swallowed. He had no choice now. Retreat was impossible. Fight was the only option. He checked his ammo, gritted his teeth, and readied himself. The first strike would decide everything. And then, just as the guardian lunged, something unexpected happened. The floor beneath it exploded in a burst of energy, sending the KYRR flying back. Aaron's eyes widened. Someone, or something, was helping him. But who? And why now, when everything seemed lost? He didn't have time to wonder. More KYRR were coming, and the corridors of the ship were turning into a battlefield. But Aaron moved with confidence, each shot, each dodge, each breath a testament to human ingenuity and willpower. They had underestimated him. They always did. By the time the first alarms blared across the ship, the message was clear: humans could fight back. Humans could survive. And Aaron was only getting started. Aaron's heart was still pounding as he darted down the narrow corridor. The alarms blared, red lights flashing across the walls. Smoke curled from broken panels, and the scent of burned metal filled the air. He had survived the first attack, but he knew the KYR wouldn't make the same mistake twice. The massive guardian he had faced moments ago wasn't the only threat. Through the flickering lights, Aaron could see shadows moving. More KYR, faster and smarter than the first group. He kept low, using crates, pipes, and broken machinery as cover, each step carefully measured. Every sound of movement could mean death, every flicker of light could hide an enemy. He paused at a junction and scanned his surroundings. The ship's map flickered weakly on his wrist device. He needed to reach the control room. There, he could access the ship systems and find out why the KYRR had abandoned this place, or if they were using it for something far worse. But the path was dangerous. The corridors twisted like a maze, and he had no backup. A faint click echoed from the shadows. Aaron froze, pressing himself against the wall. One KYR was blocking the passage ahead, its glowing eyes scanning carefully. He held his breath, waiting. Then, slowly, he backed up, moving along the side passage. Every nerve screamed at him to move faster, but a single mistake could alert the alien. Suddenly, the lights went out completely, plunging the corridor into darkness. Aaron's stomach dropped. The KYR had no problem in the dark. They could see through wavelengths humans could barely sense. He pulled out a small flare from his belt and tossed it down the corridor. The red light flickered, revealing the KYRR's silhouette. Its limbs moved unnaturally, jerky but precise, almost as if it was calculating its attack. Aaron didn't hesitate. He sprinted past the creature, rolling as he hit the floor. His flare burned low, but it had given him just enough time. He could hear the KYR hissing behind him, their heavy footsteps echoing, closing in. He pushed open a hatch and slid into the maintenance shaft, crawling through the narrow space as sparks rained down from above. The shaft twisted and turned, leading him deep into the heart of the ship. His muscles ached and his lungs burned, but he couldn't stop. Every second counted. Somewhere ahead, the KYRR were regrouping, preparing another attack. Aaron had to be ready. At last, he reached a small control room. It was empty, silent except for the hum of the ship's core. He slammed the hatch shut behind him, locking it. For a moment, he allowed himself to breathe. The room was filled with consoles, blinking lights, and holographic displays. He approached the main terminal, fingers flying over the controls. Information flashed on the screen: maps, logs, and encrypted messages in a language only partially translatable. But one thing was clear: the KYRR had been experimenting on human prisoners here. They had created weapons, enhanced soldiers, and something else, something dangerous, something they were hiding from the rest of the galaxy. A chill ran down Aaron's spine. He had to stop them, but he couldn't do it alone. Yet even as he worked to access the deeper systems, he sensed movement outside. The KYRR were not giving up. The red glow of their scanning devices appeared beneath the door, and their clicking voices grew louder. Aaron's mind raced. He needed a plan, a way to fight them off long enough to uncover the secrets of the ship. He activated a defensive protocol he had discovered during his previous missions: automated turrets, energy barriers, and remote lockdowns. Sparks flew as the room came alive with defenses. The first KYRR to enter was hit by a blast, its body thrown backward. Aaron's pulse surged. This was working, but only for a few moments. Through the locked window, he watched the remaining KYRR. They hesitated, realizing the room was fortified. But they were intelligent. They were calculating, watching for weaknesses, testing for openings. And then Aaron noticed something unexpected. One of them stepped forward, not attacking directly, but scanning him. It wasn't just an alien warrior, it was something more. It seemed aware, almost human-like in its strategy. Aaron gritted his teeth. This wasn't just a fight for survival anymore. It was a battle of wits. He needed to outsmart them, to use every trick he had learned over years of fighting against impossible odds. One wrong move, and this entire ship could become his tomb. Suddenly, the terminal beeped. A secure folder had unlocked on its own, revealing a hidden transmission. Aaron's eyes widened. The message was from another human, someone who had been trapped here long before him. And the final line made his blood run cold. If they reach the core, humanity will end. Only one can stop them. The KYR were getting closer. Their shadows stretched along the walls. Aaron's hands clenched into fists. They thought they could scare him, overwhelm him, crush him like every other human. They were wrong. He took a deep breath, readied his pistol, and whispered to himself, "Let's show them what a human can do." The door shuddered as the first KYR struck. Sparks flew. The battle was about to begin. And this time, Aaron wasn't just surviving, he was ready to fight back with everything he had. The door rattled violently as the KYR struck again, their strength far beyond what any human could match. Aaron ducked under the first blow, sparks flying past him. The metal frame groaned under the impact, but the defense systems held, just barely. He fired his pistol at the nearest KYRR, aiming for the joints. The energy blasts struck with precision, forcing the alien backward. One down. Two more advanced cautiously, their glowing eyes scanning every corner, every shadow. They had learned fast, faster than any human opponent should allow. But Aaron had something they didn't, unpredictability. He grabbed a small panel from the wall and ripped wires free, tossing them into the corridor. The sparks erupted into a miniature explosion, creating smoke and chaos. The KYRR hissed in confusion. It wasn't much, but it bought him a few seconds. Seconds he needed. Seconds that could decide life or death. Aaron sprinted to the side console, fingers moving quickly over the controls. The ship's security systems had options he had never seen before. Automated turrets, energy fields, even a network of small drones. He activated them all. A low hum filled the room, followed by a series of mechanical clicks as the defenses came online. The KYRR had strength and speed, but Aaron had numbers, technology that even the KYRR hadn't anticipated. The first drone zipped out, striking the largest KYRR in the chest. Sparks flew from its exoskeleton as it roared in frustration. Aaron smiled grimly. He had learned from years of guerrilla tactics: hit fast, confuse the enemy, force mistakes. The KYRR had underestimated him at every step, and now he was turning their arrogance against them. But the Guardian, the massive KYRR from Part 1, was still there. Its limbs moved with terrifying speed, smashing through walls and consoles. It wasn't just strong, it was smart, predicting Aaron's moves and adjusting instantly. He had to think faster than ever. Aaron ducked behind a console just as the Guardian swung a massive arm. Sparks flew as metal struck metal. Heart pounding, he reached into his pack and pulled out a small EMP grenade. He had tested it once before, but never on anything this large. If it worked, it could disable the Guardian temporarily. If it failed, he threw it, timing it perfectly as the Guardian lifted its arm to strike again. The EMP detonated with a blinding pulse of energy. The room went silent for a heartbeat. The Guardian convulsed, systems failing, and collapsed with a heavy thud. Aaron didn't waste a second. He ran down the corridor, using the chaos to his advantage. The remaining KYRR were regrouping, but the defenses he had activated were slowing them. Turrets fired automatically, drones zipped between them, and energy barriers blocked key passages. Aaron could hear their hisses of frustration. He could see the panic growing in their movements. Humans weren't supposed to be this dangerous. They weren't supposed to fight back. The terminal still displayed the hidden transmission: if they reach the core, humanity will end. Aaron didn't have time to decrypt everything, but he understood the urgency. The KYRR had a plan, something capable of wiping out human colonies. And if he didn't stop them, billions would die. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed behind him. The door to the control room had been broken through. Two KYRR appeared, faster than before, their claws extended. Aaron's back was against the wall. His pistol had only a few shots left. He had to think fast. He activated a secondary energy field. A blue barrier surged up between him and the aliens, buying him just enough time. But the KYRR were clever. They didn't try to break it, they circled, looking for a weakness. Aaron noticed a small maintenance hatch near his feet. He jumped through, sliding into the narrow shaft below. The KYRR followed, their glowing eyes piercing the darkness. But Aaron had prepared for this. He tossed another EMP device into the shaft, detonating it just as the first KYRR reached him. Sparks and smoke filled the corridor, and the aliens screamed, a sound that chilled even Aaron, though he kept moving. As he crawled further, he realized something startling. The ship wasn't abandoned. It was a trap. The KYRR had been expecting someone human. And yet, here he was, fighting back against impossible odds. They thought humans were weak. They thought humans couldn't fight. And every move he made was proving them wrong. Finally, he reached a junction that led toward the ship's core. The walls were scorched, the floor littered with debris, but the path was clear, at least for now. Aaron paused, listening. The KYRR were reorganizing, regrouping for another attack. But he was ready. A flicker on the terminal showed a new message: "You are not alone. Others are coming." Aaron's eyes narrowed. Allies? Or more traps? Either way, it was a glimmer of hope. He clenched his fists, taking a deep breath. The corridor ahead was dark, silent, and waiting. Aaron stepped forward. He wasn't just fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for every human who had been hunted, enslaved, or underestimated. And he would not stop. The KYRR would soon realize their mistake. Humans could fight back. Humans could win. And Aaron was living proof. The corridor ended in a massive hatch, reinforced with alien alloys that gleamed under the flickering lights. Aaron's heart pounded, but he didn't hesitate. Every step brought him closer to the ship's core, the source of whatever terrifying plan the KYRR had been hiding. He could hear the faint hum of energy, low and menacing, vibrating through the walls. Aaron examined the hatch. Key panels blinked with alien symbols, impossible to understand at first glance. But he had seen enough KYRR technology to guess how it worked. Carefully, he touched a sequence of panels, trying combinations based on patterns he had memorized in the past. Sparks flew, but finally, the hatch slid open with a hiss, revealing a chamber bathed in cold blue light. The core. Massive, pulsating with energy that seemed alive, it dominated the room. Cables snaked across the floor, connecting to strange devices that Aaron couldn't fully comprehend. The hum was deafening now, filling his ears and vibrating through his chest. He knew instinctively, this was the weapon, the thing that could destroy entire human colonies if activated. But he wasn't alone. From the shadows, the KYRR emerged, more numerous than ever. They had been waiting, and now, they surrounded him. Aaron's fingers tightened around his pistol. He had a small arsenal of grenades, energy disruptors, and drones, but the sheer number of enemies made the odds seem impossible. Yet, he didn't flinch. He never had. The largest KYRR, the Guardian from before, stepped forward, its exoskeleton gleaming with an unnatural light. Its eyes focused on Aaron, studying him. It hissed, a low, guttural sound that echoed through the chamber. "You should have stayed hidden," it seemed to say. Aaron's mind raced. He had seconds to act. If he could reach the main console by the core, he might be able to shut it down, or at least slow the activation. He moved quickly, dodging energy blasts and leaping over debris. The KYRR attacked with precision, but each human movement was unpredictable. They had studied humans, but they had not learned human ingenuity. He reached the console and began working. The interface was alien, symbols and lights shifting before his eyes. Sweat dripped from his brow. Every second, the KYRR advanced, breaking consoles, tearing through drones, and moving closer. Aaron's fingers flew across the touch panels, improvising connections, rerouting power, and overriding locks. He could feel the energy of the core pulsing faster, reacting to him like it was alive. Then, a vision of the human message flashed in his mind: if they reach the core, humanity will end. Only one can stop them. The weight of responsibility pressed down on him, but he refused to give in. Humans were never meant to give up. Humans were meant to adapt, to survive, to fight. And Aaron was going to prove it. The Guardian roared and lunged. Aaron rolled, narrowly avoiding crushing limbs. He threw a disruptor at the creature, a bright pulse of energy striking the exoskeleton. The Guardian staggered but recovered quickly, more enraged than before. The smaller KYRR attacked simultaneously, claws scraping sparks from the floor. Aaron activated a sequence on the console. A beam shot from the core, striking a control module. Sparks and alarms filled the room. One of the smaller KYRR screamed as its systems overloaded. Another collapsed, twitching, before Aaron realized this was working. He could manipulate their technology against them. But then, a new alarm echoed from the core. The energy pulsed faster, dangerously unstable. The KYRR had anticipated interference. If he didn't finish quickly, the entire ship could explode, or worse, the weapon could activate. Aaron's eyes scanned the console. Symbols shifted, flashing warnings. He understood enough to know he needed to reroute the core's energy into the ship's auxiliary systems, buying time and disabling the weapon. He pressed combinations, rerouted power, and prayed his instincts were correct. The KYR surged forward again, claws slashing, bodies moving like deadly shadows. Aaron fired, rolled, and launched grenades with precise timing. Slowly, inch by inch, he created a corridor to the core. His pulse was steady, mind sharp. Humans could fight back. Humans could win. And he would not fail. Finally, with one last surge of energy, the core's pulse slowed, systems destabilized, and the lights flickered. The KYR froze, confusion rippling through their ranks. Aaron stepped back, breathing heavily, knowing he had only delayed the weapon, not destroyed it. But it was a start. He looked at the core, its energy still flickering, and whispered to himself, "This is only the beginning." Outside, he could hear the KYRR regrouping, more dangerous than before. But he wasn't afraid. Humans had survived impossible odds before, and he was living proof. The chamber door began to seal. Aaron had seconds to escape. He grabbed his pack, his devices, and sprinted toward the exit. Behind him, the KYR screamed in frustration, but he didn't look back. One human had faced impossible odds and survived. But the war was far from over. And the next step would take him deeper into the heart of the KYRR empire, where the true battle awaited. The corridors of the ship trembled as the core destabilized behind him. Sparks rained from the ceiling, and metal panels twisted under the strain. Aaron ran as fast as his legs could carry him, weaving through smoke and debris. The KYR were in pursuit, their glowing eyes cutting through the darkness like knives. He didn't dare look back. One wrong glance could be his last. He reached a junction and paused, listening. The ship's alarms were deafening, but beneath the noise, he could hear the KYRR regrouping. They weren't just chasing him, they were hunting him. And the larger threat, the weapon he had delayed at the core, was still active, a ticking countdown in his mind. Aaron's eyes scanned the corridor. There, an emergency shuttle, small but functional. If he could reach it, he might escape before the core exploded. But the path was blocked. The KYRR had anticipated this move, and a squad of them advanced, their claws sparking against the metal floor. He took a deep breath, centering himself. Humans had survived impossible odds before. Humans had fought when all seemed lost. And he was no exception. Aaron activated a series of energy mines he had placed earlier, creating a temporary barrier. The explosions rocked the corridor, forcing the KYRR to retreat momentarily. He sprinted forward, jumping over the wreckage, sliding under fallen beams, his pulse steady despite the chaos. Every step was calculated, every breath focused. As he neared the shuttle, a massive shadow blocked the exit. The Guardian from before, repaired and stronger than ever. Its eyes burned with an eerie intelligence, and it moved with terrifying precision. Aaron's mind raced. He couldn't fight it head-on. Not now. He needed a diversion, something to buy a few precious seconds. He pulled a small drone from his pack, its tiny lights flickering. He tossed it toward the far side of the hangar. The drone emitted a high-pitched pulse, triggering the energy traps and causing sparks to rain across the floor. The Guardian lunged after the distraction, giving Aaron just enough time to leap into the shuttle and slam the hatch shut. Inside, the shuttle's systems blinked to life. Aaron punched the launch sequence, his fingers flying over the controls. Engines roared, lights flickered, and the shuttle shuddered as it lifted off. Behind him, the ship trembled violently, the core sparking and groaning as it neared critical failure. He looked back just long enough to see the KYRR retreating, the massive vessel beginning to break apart from within. But relief was short-lived. On the shuttle's display, a secure message flashed. He tapped it quickly. Images of human colonies lit up the screen, dozens of them across the galaxy, with annotations in alien script. The KYRR weren't just experimenting on one ship, they had plans for a full-scale invasion. A coordinated strike against humanity itself. Colonies would be destroyed, millions of lives at risk. Aaron's stomach twisted. This wasn't just a battle, it was a war, and he had only scratched the surface. He clenched his fists. Humans had been underestimated for too long. They thought humans were weak. They thought humans couldn't fight back. And every move he had made proved them wrong. Aaron took a deep breath and activated the shuttle's stealth mode. He needed allies, resources, information, anything to stop the KYRR before it was too late. Somewhere out there, other humans were fighting too. And together, they could turn the tide. But first, he needed to survive. The shuttle shot through the atmosphere of the shattered ship, dodging debris as explosions lit the sky. Aaron's hands gripped the controls, every nerve alert. One miscalculation could mean death, but he had survived impossible odds before. He could do it again. As he cleared the wreckage, a thought struck him. The KYRR had underestimated one thing: humans didn't give up. They adapted. They fought. And they had hope. Aaron's mind flashed to the hidden message at the core. Only one can stop them. He had survived, delayed the weapon, and now he had the chance to warn humanity and rally them. The shuttle entered open space, the shattered ship shrinking behind him. He allowed himself a moment to breathe. But only a moment. The KYRR threat was far from over. Millions of lives depended on what he did next. And he was ready to face whatever came, because humans could fight back. Humans could win. And he would prove it to the galaxy. The stars stretched before him, cold and infinite, but Aaron's determination burned brighter than any light. Humanity had a fighter, and that fighter was only getting started. The shuttle floated silently through space, stars stretching endlessly around it. Aaron's hands rested briefly on the controls, but his mind raced. He had survived the KYRR ship, delayed their weapon, and escaped, but that was only the beginning. The real war was just starting. He opened the shuttle's encrypted comms. A list of coordinates appeared on the screen: hidden human outposts, colonies that had been abandoned, secret resistance groups. If humanity was going to survive, they would have to fight together. Aaron knew it. Alone, he was strong, but together, humans could be unstoppable. The first signal he contacted was from a small resistance group on the mining colony of Arinder 5. The leader's voice crackled over the comm, skeptical at first. "You survived the KYRR ship?" she asked. "No one comes back from that alive." Aaron's eyes narrowed. "I did. And I have proof. The KYRR are planning an attack on multiple human colonies. If we don't act, billions will die. He transmitted the images from the ship's console. Maps, weapon schematics, data logs, all irrefutable evidence. There was a long pause. Then the voice came again, firmer this time. All right. We'll follow your lead. But this isn't going to be easy. The KYR are everywhere. Aaron nodded, even though she couldn't see him. I know. But humans survive impossible odds. We'll make them regret underestimating us. He set the shuttle on a new course, moving faster than most ships could safely handle. Each system he passed, each outpost he contacted, added more allies. Fighters, engineers, spies, humans who had refused to bow to the KYRR, humans who had been waiting for someone like him to lead them. As the reinforcements joined him, Aaron studied the data from the ship. The KYRR weapon wasn't just a single device, it was a coordinated system, connected to their fleet across multiple sectors. Its activation would cripple humanity's defenses, leaving colonies defenseless before an invasion force. The scale was staggering. But he didn't flinch. Humans thrived in adversity. Humans improvised. Humans fought when all hope seemed lost. And that was their greatest strength. Over the next few days, Aaron coordinated with the resistance. He trained pilots, organized sabotage teams, and developed strategies that even the KYRR hadn't anticipated. Every tactic was simple but effective. Hit fast, confuse the enemy, exploit their arrogance. The KYRR had never faced a human like this, one who could think, adapt, and strike with precision. During a briefing, one of the engineers spoke up. Captain, we've analyzed the weapon systems. There's a central node controlling all their fleets. If we can reach it and disable it, we can delay the invasion long enough for humanity to counterattack. Aaron's jaw tightened. Then that's our target. We strike the core, disable the fleet command, and show the KYRR that humans don't give up. That we fight back. The team cheered quietly, a spark of hope in the vast darkness of space. But Aaron knew this was just the beginning. The KYRR would come. Their fleets would attack, their hunters would pursue, and their plans were still deadly. Yet for the first time in a long while, he felt something stronger than fear, determination. One night, as the fleet rested near a hidden asteroid belt, Aaron stood on the shuttle's observation deck, looking at the stars. The scale of the galaxy was overwhelming, but humanity's fight had begun. The KYRR had underestimated them at every turn. They had thought humans weak, easy prey. They had thought no one could survive their weapon. They were wrong. A small alert blinked on his console. A probe from the KYRR fleet had detected part of the human forces. Aaron's eyes narrowed. The attack was coming sooner than expected. He transmitted orders instantly, fighters to defensive positions, engineers to shield generators, and the stealth team to intercept the probe. Every second counted. Every human life mattered. As the KYRR probe neared the fleet, Aaron's voice echoed through the comms. Humans fight. Humans survive. And today, we show them why no one underestimates us. The probe hit a trap. Explosions lit up the darkness, sending shrapnel into space. The KYRR paused, their strategy disrupted. Aaron smiled grimly. One small victory, but it was enough to prove a point. Humanity was not weak. Humanity was not prey. Humanity was a force the KYRR could not predict, could not control. The stars ahead seemed brighter, as if reflecting the determination of the human fleet. Aaron clenched his fists. The real battle was coming. The KYRR would strike. But humans had learned something vital. To survive, to fight, to adapt. And with this fleet, with this crew, Aaron knew one thing for certain. Humans could win. The countdown to war had begun. And the galaxy would never forget the day a single human dared to fight back. The stars ahead were alive with fire. The KYRR fleet had arrived, a dark storm of ships stretching across the void. Their weapons glimmered like deadly constellations, and the hum of energy radiated through space. Aaron's fleet held its formation, every human ship tense, engines blazing, ready for the fight of their lives. Aaron stood on the command deck of the lead ship, staring at the enemy. "This is it," he said, voice steady, almost calm. "They thought humans couldn't fight back. They were wrong. Stick to the plan. Hit hard, hit fast, and never give up." Signals flashed across the fleet. Pilots gripped controls, engineers monitored shields, and Aaron's tactical team coordinated attacks. Every human knew the stakes. Billions of lives hung in the balance. Yet fear was replaced with determination. Humans thrived in impossible odds. Humans adapted. Humans survived. The KYRR opened fire. Energy beams tore through the darkness, striking human ships. Explosions rocked the fleet, sending debris tumbling in all directions. Yet Aaron's fleet responded with precision. Turrets fired, countermeasures activated, and fighters darted between enemy fire. Every move was coordinated, every action designed to disrupt the KYRR. Aaron's eyes flicked to the central objective, the KYRR command node controlling the fleet. "We take that node," he told his tactical officer. "We disable it, and their fleet will collapse from within. Move fast. No hesitation." A squad of human fighters, led by Aaron himself in his shuttle, broke through the first line of defense. KYRR ships swarmed, claws extended, energy weapons blazing. Aaron weaved through them, firing disruptor pulses that disabled shields and took down smaller vessels. Each move was unpredictable, confusing the KYRR, proving once again that humans could outthink their superior enemy. Behind him, the human fleet held formation, taking advantage of the disruption. Shields absorbed hits, turrets shredded advancing enemies, and drones swarmed the KYRR ships, creating chaos among their ranks. Aaron's diversion allowed the strike team to reach the command node, an enormous ship at the center, its hull gleaming with alien alloys. The node's defenses were massive, but Aaron's team was relentless. Grenades detonated, shields flickered, and Aaron's disruptor pulses found weak points in the alien armor. Slowly, methodically, the node's systems began to fail. Lights flickered across its hull, alarms blared, and the KYRR fleet hesitated, their coordination breaking down. Aaron knew the fight wasn't over. The Guardian, the massive KYRR captain, emerged, towering over everything in the sector. Its glowing eyes locked on him, limbs moving with terrifying speed. Aaron didn't flinch. He had faced it before. Humans survived impossible odds. Humans adapted. Humans fought back. He led the Guardian into a trap, weaving between ships, dodging massive blows, and luring it toward the energy mines set earlier. With precise timing, Aaron detonated them. A wave of energy struck the Guardian, sending it crashing into the hull of a nearby KYRR ship. Sparks flew, alarms shrieked, and the massive creature was disabled, its threat neutralized. With the Guardian gone, the command node was vulnerable. Aaron fired a concentrated disruptor pulse into the node's central core. Systems overloaded. Lights flickered and died. The KYRR fleet's coordination collapsed instantly. Ships drifted helplessly, communications failed, and human forces gained the upper hand. Aaron's fleet pressed the advantage, striking decisively. KYRR vessels fell, one by one, unable to respond effectively. Humans fought with everything they had, ingenuity, courage, and sheer determination. The alien armada, once unstoppable, was now in disarray. As the battle reached its climax, Aaron stood on the bridge, watching the enemy fleet scatter. He allowed himself a brief moment of satisfaction. Humans had survived. Humans had fought. Humans had won. Yet he knew the war wasn't entirely over. The KYRR were powerful, clever, and relentless. But humanity had something they could never predict: courage, resilience, and the will to fight against impossible odds. That was their greatest weapon, and it had just been proven in full. Aaron turned to his crew, voice firm but proud. Today, humanity showed its strength. We survived what no one thought possible. We fight. We adapt. We win. And we will continue to do so, no matter what comes next. The fleet cheered, a sound that echoed across space. Sparks and debris floated around them, silent witnesses to the victory. Aaron allowed himself a smile. They had won this battle. They had proven something important, not just to the KYRR, but to themselves. Humans were fighters, survivors, champions of their own destiny. As the stars stretched infinitely around them, Aaron's thoughts turned forward. The galaxy was vast, full of dangers and unknown enemies. But humanity had faced the impossible and prevailed. And wherever the KYRR tried to strike next, they would find one undeniable truth: humans could fight back. Humans could survive. And humans could win. The fleet moved forward, leaving the remnants of the KYRR armada behind. For now, the galaxy was safe. But Aaron knew that this victory was only the beginning. Humanity had awakened. And no force in the galaxy would ever underestimate them again.